Good afternoon. It's just after 4 o'clock on Thursday, April 9th. This is finding this is finding the Advaita in A Course in Miracles, where we really look for the non-dual meaning that's sometimes buried in the text of a course. Often it's not buried that deep. It's fairly easy to find, but really narrowing in on it is what we do in this hour. And it's always good conversation. We always learn something and see something that we didn't see before. So settle in, and we are on page um, we are on page 305 on paragraph 5, which is in chapter 8, section 3, freedom of will. So I'll read our opening invocation, and as I read it, I invite you to just let the day go, let whatever is in your field move gently through your field, and just be open to the moment as it offers itself to you. And if there's something that is hanging around in your field that needs to be let go, or wants to be moved, or wants to be recognized more deeply, then just allow that to happen. Give it up to the will of God, because that is what it is. And that's what you are. And so the impulse comes together, and the quality of how we are together, how we talk, how we share, just how we be. This is our gift to the world. Make no mistake, it is exactly that. The purpose of every gathering is discovered. It is discovered in the moment, in the gathering. It's to recognize beauty and to love what is beautiful. And here we're recognizing the truth. And beauty is an attribute of the truth. So we allow conversation to arise out of every particle. We recognize the aliveness of the moment, of the words, of our being, of our sharing and our willingness. It's all alive. So welcome, know yourself, welcome to this empty table, a cleared space where something new can happen. So let us take the hands of those we love, all of those here. And when we do so, what do those hands become? So welcome, welcome, welcome. Karen, Carol, Shannon, Lonnie, Chuck, May, Mel, Elizabeth, and Cindy. Welcome, welcome. Now, last week, we did something that I really enjoyed. We listened to a bit of a Helen Hamilton section, and I'm going to ask us to just recall that as we go through our discussion today. And if you haven't had a chance to watch that or listen to that, I encourage you to do so, because she does a beautiful inquiry with one of her students about what love is. And last week we continued with chapter 8, which is titled The Undivided Will to Heal. And today we are probably going to finish out this section, Freedom of Will. And I want to point out that this chapter is titled The Undivided Will to Heal, which may seem like a contradiction. Thank you, Cindy. Cindy put up the Helen Hamilton YouTube so that if you want to watch it later, you can. You can copy that link and watch it when you want to. So I want to point out that this title of this chapter is called The Undivided Will to Heal. And the title of this section is Freedom of Will. And those might sound contradictory. So let's explore whether they're contradictory or not. Let's really dig into this and see what this means. There really is no other will. Even if you believe yourself to be in the dream, there's no other will, even in the dream. We are told that the Holy Spirit pierces the veil and follows us and deciphers for us in the dream. So even in the dream, the Holy Spirit is present, omnipresent, always there, never not present, undivided in its will with your undivided will. But because the will of God is never not. The will of God is never not. But we have to reclaim it. And in this section, we will address a major sticking point that most seekers get hung up on. We all get hung up on this. It's very easy to get hung up on it. And I would say I got hung up on it for a long time, and probably all of you have been hung up on it. And we can talk about that today, certainly. But as we begin this, I want to remind us how simple this course is. As we read through this, that we are deserving of perfect peace and joy. Line 1 of this section tells us God's will for us is perfect peace and joy, and that unless we are experiencing this, we must be refusing God's will. That's the first line in section 3 on page 303. We've already been through this section, but I just want to call our attention back to it as a preamble for where we're going to jump off in paragraph 5. So the beginning student who is still caught up in the egoic thought system, who still may be operating in the ego's thought system, unrecognized, will use this statement as fodder for its own enrichment. It will tell you that if you're not in perfect peace now, you are doing the course wrong. This is a huge barrier. And we're going to talk about why that's so. But sentence 4 in paragraph 1 offers us a correction if we see it. It says, God is all in all. Right? God is all in all. So this can only mean that if your system is disrupted, if there's any upset, large or small, it doesn't mean you're out of step with God's will, right? God's will is never not present in anything that is arising now in your experience. So what do we do? How do we approach this? If there is an upset in our field, in our mind, in our heart, are we out of step with God's will? Yes, we are, but not in the way that the ego thinks. So let's talk about this with paragraph 5. I'm going to ask Chuck to read paragraph 5, if he would, and then we'll talk about it. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you for being my go-to guy.
Happy to help. The world must despise and reject me because the world is the belief that love is impossible. Your reactions to me are the reactions of the world to God. If you will accept the fact that I am with you, you are denying the world and accepting God. My will is his, and your will to hear me is let's make sure I get that emphasis, is the decision to hear his voice and abide in his will. As he sent me to you, so will I send you to others. But I will go to them with you so we can teach them union and peace.
Okay, thank you. As usual, this paragraph is operating on 2 different levels at once. On the I'm trying to think of how to explain this. On the most elemental level, on the most introductory level, it's telling you that the Christ is with you always. And that makes it sound like there is a Christ and a you, right? And that is so comforting. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because you can't learn unless you're at peace. And so the Course is placing your consciousness and your heart at peace in this paragraph by telling you that the Christ is with you. So open yourself up to it. Allow it. It's right there. What it doesn't say is the Christ is you. You are the Christ. You are in the Christ and with the Christ and of the Christ. Right? There is no separation between the Christ and you. So I want to ask you, I just want to put this out here. Your reaction to me is the same as your reactions to God. What do you think that sentence means?
This may be a stupid question, but who's the me?
In this paragraph, it's not asking that question, but it is pointing to that exactly.
Okay.
It's pointing exactly to that.
It's God is the mind in which I think, basically. So it's like the inherency of awareness as a joined substance. right? How would you answer the question?
Is it a substance? I know what you mean. I'm
Hmm.
being nitpicky here. I'm
No,
just being nitpicky.
impeccability of word. Um, it's a it's it's a state of inherency, I guess. It's a state of infinity. It's yeah.
It's joined being, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's joined
Yeah.
being. So what I interpret this as is your reactions to me are the same as your reactions to God. God is in every moment, in everything. And when I reject the moment, or I reject the feelings or the thoughts or the sensations that arise within the moment, I am separating myself from what is unfolding for me in my experience as awareness. And I'm rejecting that because I'm not in flow with it. I'm saying, no, this needs to be different for me to be at peace and have joy. So that's what I interpret that is rejection of the fear that might arise, the guilt that might arise, the shame that might arise, rather than being in the moment as the witnessing awareness to them as they arise. It's that rejection of it. So it's rejecting the Christ, which is the will of God, and it's rejecting yourself also, which is the will of God. It's that awareness. Mel,
Yeah, kind of like what Lonnie was pointing to. You're creating a separate self at that point, right? You're
yes,
creating a me
yes,
separate and something that is resisting something, and that has to be a separate identity because you are already what's happening.
yes, exactly, exactly, exactly. Thank you.
But isn't it also, in truth, an experience of the divine having the experience of rejecting itself?
But it doesn't create a separate entity of itself. I mean, it appears to, right? It's appearing it to itself
Based on how humans understand it, it does.
from that
But
perspective.
maybe
Yeah.
it's part of the experience. I see you smiling, May. It just kind of hit me that if all I'm always going back to all is of the divine,
Exactly.
all of it, no matter how it comes, and that even in that denial, that is the divine having that experience of denial, that amazing experience of denial.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And it says in sentence 3, if you will accept the fact that I am with you, or you can remove the word with. If you will accept the fact that I am you, then you are denying the world and accepting all that is. You're denying the world of separation and accepting all that is. It's a dualistic teaching because actually, Lonnie, yours is right direct. But we do have to ask who is aware of the rejection, right? Who's
But
aware of that?
that's part of what the experiment is.
That's sort of
That's
what the
part of the gift of being able to have this physical experience
and
as
Carol's
the divine.
yeah, right. And Carol's gonna take us more into this. You're on, Carol.
Well, I was going to say that was just so succinctly put, Lonnie. And when we go back to the all is in the all, I've got that right from the first, yet he is all in all. That's all there is.
That's all there is.
And it's just recognizing that um, really that you know that it's all as it should be, even if the experience the experiences do not bring the sense of perfect peace and perceptions. Like we're experiencing things, truth as it isn't in this illusion of a world, until we're not, until we recognize that never mind, that didn't make any sense. Forget it.
Well, let's bring Francis into this discussion. His beautiful, if we want to play in the sandbox, then we can play in the sandbox. If we want to stay outside in the dark and play cops and robbers, we can do that. We're free.
Yeah.
We're free to do that. And we may experience pain and suffering. We may get cold. But when we want to come in, we can come in and we can end the ignorance. Right? We can wake
Absolutely.
up from the ignorance. And who wakes up? It's just the absolute calling itself back into itself. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's not really any waking up, and there's not any calling itself back to itself, because it can't leave itself. That's what I mean by the illusion of the world. There's a recognition that this is happening, but it's not ultimately the truth. I'm not truly experiencing myself as I am through this seemingly separate world. Mm-hmm. But that's fine, because there's just, it just can't be, it can't be described in words, because words come from mind, and mind is a limitation of and from.
But that doesn't mean that we can't have words. It doesn't mean that we aren't moved through the divine to reconnect with itself. And so, and there's joy in doing that.
Yes,
and there's
there
love
is.
in doing that. And there's peace in doing that. And that's why we enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
Right?
Can't stop.
But if I'm in denial, if I deny my experience, I'm not really having this experience or whatever. Am I not denying the divine's experience of it?
That's right.
Well, yeah, but it's divine's choice. It's divine playing out that.
Having the experience.
It's not a problem.
Exactly.
It's a problem when thoughts come through, which are little aspects of the truth, little creations of and from divine, but it's ultimately coming back to recognizing.
But for instance, I hear people say all the time, I'm not the body. Hell yes, you're the body. You're the body and then some, or else you wouldn't be having this experience.
Well, you're experiencing the body. You're aware of a body.
In order to have this human experience, you have to have a body.
Or maybe not. Maybe you just have to imagine a body.
Depends on if your experience is in physicality or not. Again, we're being asked to be open to all possibilities.
Yes.
And all possibilities are all possibilities. Humanity has these tight little definitions and fits of what things look like. Physicality.
You're right.
I'm gonna bring us back to the Course in Miracles.
We don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't mean to interrupt this. This is a beautiful discussion between Lonnie and Carol. I think you're on the same page, but I want to bring us back into A Course in Miracles, because we can go way out there in this, and we do that, and the center always brings us back. But let me ask May if she will read paragraph 6 for us.
Yeah. Do you not think the world needs peace as much as you do? Do you not want to give it to the world as much as you want to receive it? For unless you do, you will not receive it. If you will not have it of me, you must give. You must give it. Rehabilitation does not come from anyone else. You can have guidance from without, but you must accept it from within. The guidance must become what you want, or else it will be meaningless to you. That is why rehabilitation is a collaborative venture. I can tell you what to do, but this will not really help you unless you collaborate by believing that I know what to do. Only then will your mind will to follow me.
Yeah. It's funny, I'm going to pull a Cindy on you, May. Because in sentence 4, I think you read that if you will not will to have it of me, you put the not in there. Yeah, yeah.
Both and.
Yeah, no, that was really pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I want to look at this paragraph from the Course in Miracles perspective, and bring the Advaita into it, but not get too far out in left field. And I want to bring the guides into this. So the world wants peace, and we want peace. I mean, we don't go around saying, well, I want peace, but everything is God. So even if I'm not peace, that's God, and I don't have to do anything. I can just continue to sit here and suffer. That's not what we do. We are drawn to peace because the draw to peace is the draw to God. It's the draw to source. It's the draw to the absolute, right? That's the language of the absolute, is peace and happiness and joy. And we want to speak that language. It's fine to have the experience of being separate, and it's true. We can go very mental with this and say, it's all just the absolute, having the experience through this apparently separate aspect called me. And that's fine. But most of us really enjoy peace. Most of us enjoy happiness, and we love to share our happiness and peace. And so the world wants peace, and we want it from our own awareness, because the change, we have to have it from our own awareness, because the true opening, the true illumination is going to come at the group level, right? The coherence comes at the level of the group. This is the guide's teaching here. This is not in this course. So the world needs peace as much as you do. Do you not want to give it to the world as much as you want to receive it? Yes, I do, because as it says in the next line, unless you do, you will not receive it. So we may sit in our room and say, I'm realized. I know what I am. I'm the will of God. All that unfolds, unfolds as the will of God, and I'm copacetic with that. But we are drawn to share it, because once you really know that love, you want to extend it. It's a natural aspect of creation, which is what we are. And as we share it, it becomes the group vibration or the group tone. And that's where we are moving. And I just want to point that out in this paragraph. So the Christ is speaking at 2 levels. Yes, you're only giving it to yourself. As you extend it, you receive what you extend. But we're also giving it at a larger level. And actually, a course does talk about this a lot. All minds are shared. So we are moving it and sharing it. And Carol's going to speak, but before she does, I'm going to call on you, Carol. I just want to reiterate again, over and over and over, we are told that we must be in agreement that this can't be done for us because we are the Christ consciousness.
Yeah. And yet that's also the ultimate truth is that there isn't a course and there isn't a world
So
because
how
it's a
does that help
temporary
us
story.
tonight? So Carol, how does that help
Mhm.
us tonight?
To recognize that everything that is
Why don't we just close the book and all go away?
experienced.
We can just
Well,
close the book and all go away. Help me with that. Help me understand why we wouldn't do that.
I don't know why we would do that. I'm not saying we should do that, or I wouldn't be here. I
Mhm.
wouldn't be enjoying the joy and the love of the teachings. But ultimately, recognizing that it is joy and love through the teachings, and the teachings are part of the experience in the world, which seems to have different lifetimes, different experiences that are not absolutely congruent with the creator of that, because it is manifesting all aspects of itself, not in its entirety, but in time. So it appears to be separate,
Okay,
which does not. Okay.
Okay, yeah. I know what you're saying because I know you and I know how you think and I know where you're coming
You
from.
know what I'm trying to
I
say,
do. I know
Amy.
what you're trying to say. I do. I get it. I really do. Um, I do. Yeah. I think, and
So
I,
it's like, yeah, like Amy, it's like, yeah, and not to be getting, and as Ken has so many times said, not to be getting caught up in the stories,
Mhm.
because it's only one thing going on, literally, seemingly going on
It's
towards
just,
others, to the group, the whole thing, and that's part of the story.
yeah, there's
And
only one of us here.
if we're talking about bringing non-duality into teaching, not bringing it in, but recognizing it, the recognition is there isn't a world or others that need to collaborate and ultimately come together for the world to awaken and it be a better world.
Yep.
It's perfect as it is.
But we're here to have the experience of it, and we're here to experience the
Mm-hmm.
joy and the peace of it. And so this is one way that we are called upon to do it.
Yes, but isn't the ultimate peaceful experience? I'm not saying joyful, happy, but okay, like everything is just, it's okay, it's good, it's okay. Isn't that just knowing that my perceptions may not be showing me truly what
But
is?
who's to say that peaceful means okay? Who's to say that that's what peaceful means for anybody? What if peaceful means that I know who and what I am and how I serve?
Which is exactly same thing, right? That word means
Not
everything.
necessarily, because that thing of means everything is okay. That's all perception, and that's all individual perception. Okay for me might be sitting on the high pile of shit with a wand.
Hmm.
And
But
that might be quite peaceful.
isn't this teaching or this concept about one thing manifesting itself in every possible way? So there are going to be diverse experiences that it's going to have of what is okay.
But when I hear that term perfect peace, what is that?
We're going to talk about that. That's a really good question. I'm going to
Yeah,
ask
it
Cindy
can't be.
to
Yeah,
contribute, and then we'll go back to what that really means.
yeah.
And I think, yeah, we'll go back to that. Cindy.
This is fun. Here's what I wanted to say. I have discovered as we sink deeper into this intentional space of divine service. I don't even, words are interesting. That A Course in Miracles has become a direct experience for me, which is extraordinary. Key to that for me, Shannon's not here. It's something I said to Shannon recently. I don't remember why. Is to make the interaction with the course, even when I'm with groups of other people, intimate, to my experience. I have noticed for me, it's never ever useful for me to project and predict how somebody else is experiencing it, because that's a projection, and there's always a distortion in projection. And when I get real close and I ask the Holy Spirit or the monad or the risen Christ or whatever it is that I call my true self to read it into me, which are the words I'm using, then it's a whole new experience that's alive and that it continually seems to shift and flow my experience of who and what I am. It just keeps changing. And what's lit up for me personally now is Rubber Meets the Road on Monday is going to focus on lessons 128, 129, and 130. And somehow this reading is pointing directly to those lessons. And I didn't know that until I asked. Well, it was given to me this morning in a quiet space. Look at these lessons, look at where it's pointing. And now I'm listening to these readings and these conversations, and I am recognizing, well, the course only teaches one thing anyway, ultimately. It's becoming simpler. But this idea that as long as we're talking about the world, we're not experiencing it. And when we get real quiet and we recognize, because those lessons just keep saying, rest in me and watch the world change, rest in me and watch the world change, rest in me and watch the world change. And the mind wants to say, yeah, but, and I cannot know what another seemingly separate person is experiencing, and I cannot know what words to use to get them to see things my way. And I'm recognizing the moment I'm attempting to get somebody else to see things my way, I'm back in duality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm really like, it's blowing up inside of me, the recognition that these teachings are specifically talking to those workbook lessons. Like, I just love how the divine self, the higher self, is working through all of us. And I just want to I just want to let everybody know that for me this is a direct experience, and to invite us all to notice when we're attempting to get a seeming other to see things our way, it'll never work. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Whereas sharing a direct experience, this is how, simply, I don't know, it changes me anyway. So
Yeah. And
I
isn't
really,
an inherency, it is among our brothers that that is the only way to attain or like let this knowledge kind of integrate.
Well, the other part of it is more, I am becoming more and more interested in when I seem to disagree with somebody else, because I recognize that that's a belief in me to dissolve, because there is only one truth. So if I'm believing in division and conversation, then there's something inside of me that is actively believing that there's something I have to defend.
And Cindy, you're bringing us back to direct experience is exactly where the next paragraph takes us, in my opinion. But I think it's really important that we remember that that's what this gathering is all about. It's about the direct experience and how the teachings impact us directly. Right.
Love us.
Love us too. Thank you, Cindy. So I'm going to ask Mel if she would read paragraph 7. And then we're going to talk about how that relates to Lonnie's experience comment.
Amy, was the last thing that you read before we started talking, was that also a part of the paragraph before? That last little piece that you read?
The last little piece I read, I don't know what that was.
It was the first paragraph of the section 3, freedom of will.
Oh, okay.
Right? If God's will for you is complete peace and joy, unless you experience only this, you must be refusing to acknowledge his will.
Is that
Okay,
what, is
that was what I was talking
Okay.
about. I was just wondering if it was what runs into what Mel is about to read.
No, that's in the first paragraph, as May
Okay,
said. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
So would you read paragraph 7,
Yes.
May?
Oh.
Or Mel, I'm sorry. Ah!
I'm getting all geared up here. No.
Okay, take it away.
All right. Without your will, you cannot be rehabilitated. Motivation to be healed is the crucial factor in rehabilitation. Without this, you are deciding against healing, and your veto of my will for you makes healing impossible. If healing is our joint will, unless our wills are joined, you cannot be healed. This is obvious when you consider carefully what healing is for.
So, how does this relate to experience? There are only 2 options. I can stay asleep and believe that my resistance is productive, or I can become aware that I am the awareness itself, and that all that is arising within my awareness, that I didn't cause it, that I'm just here to experience it, right? And that is giving permission. That's your permission right there, right? Without your will. So if I'm not in resistance, then I am in the will of the absolute. I am in that flow. I am allowing, right? So how does that look when our wills are joined and you can be healed? How does that look in the moment, in experience? I'll just give you a direct example. I'm sitting in my chair and I notice that this feeling of deep insecurity is flooding over. My field is suddenly, I'm just filled with this insecurity. There's nothing around me that's caused it. So I do a little bit of investigation and I realize it's a memory of something that I said earlier in the day that I wasn't sure of, and I thought maybe it upset somebody. Doesn't really matter what the cause is. The experience is in the moment. It arises. I notice in my field, in my body. I mean, we can talk about all the bodily responses. My heart contracts. Cindy often talks about being contracted. I just notice that that's my experience. I don't have to go back and try and figure out why. I just notice in the moment, in the holy instant, that that experience is arising. And and I say yes to it. I recognize it. I let it touch me. I don't go down the rabbit hole with it. I let it touch me. I watch the flow. I feel it. And then I just watch it leave because it always leaves. I did not bring that experience to my separated self. It arose within me as God's will, as an experience, as God's will. I didn't create it, and I didn't bring it in, and I don't let it go. I am the awareness that watches it move. And I do that every holy instant that I can. And that's being joined. That's the will being joined. I am the presence of the divine, having an experience. The experience could be good and it could be bad. Often, if it's bad, we reject it and we say no to it. That is being out of alignment with God's will. If it's a great experience, I might try to hold on to it and be disappointed when it leaves. That is being out of alignment with God's will. It is literally in that instant, in that moment, when I make the choice to say yes to it. I say yes to its presence. I say yes to being the awareness of it. And I say yes to allowing it to move through me. It's that simple. It's that simple. This is a very simple course. Perhaps you do not feel you need a course which in the end teaches only that reality is true. That's the reality in the moment, whatever is arising. Right? When you perceive the real world, you will recognize that you did not believe that only reality is true. Why is that? Because you reject it. And when you reject it, you go out of alignment with it. Carol, you're up.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying, but apparently there are apparent others that will never in this dream of life recognize or or be able to question, okay, what am I experiencing now? Am I in alignment? Because what does that? How does that's not happening? So there isn't whether the whole story of all people or all aspects of awareness coming into complete peace with itself.
But Carol, I'm going to interrupt you here because that's a story about there not being a story.
The story. Hold on, I have to. About
The only moment I have is the
mm-hmm.
moment that is arising in my awareness now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have thoughts about it. I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
do anything with it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about other
Mm-hmm.
people's stories. I just have
Mm-hmm.
to be where I am now. And when I
Exactly.
recognize myself
Mm-hmm.
as the awareness, the witnessing
Mm-hmm.
awareness, and I recognize all others are the witnessing awareness, but they are not my responsibility. My responsibility
Exactly.
is to move what is happening now. If it was my, oh, it was my responsibility, then it would be different. Everything
Right.
happens,
So,
yeah,
yeah, it happens. Absolutely. And it happens differently, apparently, because all is playing out, all is manifesting out. That's the point. It's all of it. So, what I'm saying is, if in my experience, I'm struggling and I feel like, oh, I've completely lost it or whatever, that's God's will also. That's the one will. Everything is the one will.
it
The good,
is,
the bad,
but
and the ugly,
it is,
seemingly
but the
in
point
this.
isn't to recognize it up here and then
No, it's to
bypass
feel
it. The
it.
point is to have the experience of it.
Yes. And the experience of it may not be like experience is very different. And if it's all, every experience is going to be absolute, complete, Zen like, well, that's flatline because there has to be the whole point of time and space is contrast because there can't be experience without
It
contrasting
doesn't matter. That's a
experience.
story. So that's a story that is
Yeah.
is again about time
Mm-hmm.
and space. So the
Mm-hmm.
ego, I'm going to read. This is from um, mm, this is I think from chapter 4.
Mm-hmm.
The ego will demand many answers that this course does not give.
Mm-hmm.
It does not recognize as questions the mere form of a question to which an answer is impossible. It
Right.
does not recognize as questions the
Mm-hmm.
mere form of a question to which an answer is impossible. The ego may
Right.
ask, how did the impossible occur? To what did the impossible happen? And may ask this in many forms. Yet
Mm-hmm.
there is no answer, only an experience. Seek
Yes.
only this and do not let theology or
Right.
dharma or dogma or
Mm-hmm.
anything delay you,
Right.
right?
So seeking an experience or aligning an experience requires mind,
Yeah.
requires
But
perception.
I think it's helpful to just view it all in gradation because it's all the same awareness, just at varying levels
Exactly.
of
Yes. Everything
vibration.
is, yes.
Yeah, so it's not exactly, yeah, it's more helpful to view it in that way. It doesn't have to recognize itself. It just is.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
it's doing the work it's doing the work for the pure joy of it. And in doing it, it doesn't be it transforms itself out of work, I think, and just into, yeah, experience, which is something nobody can take away from you, or it's nothing
Exactly.
you also have to prove. I find myself slipping into like, oh, I have to like prove that I'm like spiritual or whatever, or like this is
Mm,
happening to me. Like honestly, I do I do get frustrated and isolated sometimes where I'm just like, oh, I kind of wish like I had more like like solidarity or like resonance or something, like, or like if more like people were saying like the specifications of how my own experience is deepening. Sometimes I'm just like I want to express that, but it's also it's kind of just for me, a lot of it. And it is that beauty in like letting the potentiality of the experience of source becoming its or just realizing itself in a grander scale, in a more productive fashion. Yeah. Not sure where I'm going with that, but
I know it's because whatever we try and speak about, it's still story. And it's still limited by the self-chosen instrument, which allows it to have. I mean, the instrument is a creation, and
yeah,
there's
but
only
it's
one thing out of itself, but it's not the essence, it's not the entirety. It's a time and space thing.
And that's
And
okay.
yeah,
That's
of
it's a
course
okay.
it's okay.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a learning
That's my
device.
point.
Yeah.
It's just
It proves the teaching to be true. The truth is true.
Carol,
well,
Carol,
absolutely.
I'm going to stop. I'm going to
Yeah.
stop. Carol, I want you to read paragraph 8, please.
Okay. Healing is the way in which the separation is overcome. Separation is overcome by union. It cannot be overcome by separating. The will to unite must be unequivocal, or the will itself is separated or not whole. Your will is the means by which you determine your own condition, because will is the mechanism of decision. It is the power by which you separate or join and experience pain or joy accordingly. My will cannot overcome yours because yours is as powerful as mine. If it were not so, the sons of God would be unequal. Right. There is
So,
only one will. There isn't one more powerful than the other.
right.
The
So
will is just,
it
there's
just
no
is.
separation. It's
And
everything.
it's everything. And so separation is overcome by union in the moment, not through
Yeah.
idea, not through anything except experiencing union in the moment, right?
In
Not
the
in the
being,
future,
in the being.
in the being, in the
Uh-huh.
being. Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
as we have this conversation, what I'm going to ask for each of us is, before you speak, I would love for you to just take a moment and consider, how is what I'm saying contributing to the union of all that are gathered here now at the table, right? Is what I'm saying helpful to the whole group as a whole? Is it uplifting the whole? And I have to ask that of myself a lot. I ask that of myself every time I go in to lead a class or to facilitate. And it's really easy to forget that. So I'm not asking that of any particular person here. I'm just asking that as we set this table and we gather at this table, that we remember that union and communication and loving kindness is really why we're here, right? So I just want to put that out there, and because it happens in the moment, right? Happens in the moment. So to quote Carol, there's no one here except the one. And the one has had a wonderful conversation amongst its seemingly separate parts. And each of the seemingly separate parts has contributed something unique and beautiful to the conversation. Right? And I've learned from Carol, and I've learned from Lonnie and May and Chuck and Mel, and I've learned from Cindy. I've learned from every single seemingly separate part. And it has been my joy in this meeting to do so. Right? So that's how I want to end this. And then with our last closing invocation. So come, whoever you are, wanderer, fire worshiper, lover of leaving. This is not a caravan of despair. It does not matter that you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Still, come and yet again. So bring everything you got to next Thursday, and we will do this again. We'll go even deeper. All right. Thank you so much. Love us.